Why do we celebrate Halloween? No matter how old you are or how many times you've been around, the Halloween holidays where the little ones get a chance to dress up and go trick-or-treating and parents have an excuse to sip on a boozy Halloween cocktail never gets old. But amid the parties, games and sugar rushes, have you ever stopped to wonder what the history of Halloween is? From brainstorming our costumes to carving jack-o'-lanterns with the kids and, of course, eating unfathomable amounts of pumpkin treats, candy and chocolate, we're answering your Halloween questions in this video with all its scary and creepy things. But before we start, don't forget to hit the red button below this video to subscribe and the bell button to get notified of our new videos. Ready to have a feel of the Halloween celebration? Let's get into it! For some, autumn only means one thing. And no, we're not talking about pumpkin spice lattes and the crunch of leaves underfoot. Yep, it's that time of year again when the nights draw in and start to become an altogether more spooky affair, with Halloween just around the corner. What started as a festival with ancient traditions nowadays is a byword for carved pumpkins, trick-or-treating and over-the-top costumes. But where did Halloween come from? And what does Halloween mean? And why do we celebrate it? Here's the lowdown. The history of Halloween. Halloween is an annual holiday celebrated each year on October the 31st. It originated with the ancient Celtic festival of Samhain, when people would light bonfires and wear costumes to ward off ghosts. In the 8th century, Pope Gregory III designated November 1st as a time to honor All Saints. Soon, All Saints' Day incorporated some of the traditions of Samhain. The evening before was known as All Hallows' Eve, and later Halloween. Over time, Halloween evolved into a day of activities like trick-or-treating, carving jack-o'-lanterns, festive gatherings, donning costumes and eating sweet treats. Starting around 2,000 years ago, the three-day pagan religious festival began around October the 31st to honor the harvest and prepare for the dark half of the year. The ancient Celts believed that on this day the line between the living and the spiritual realm was blurred, meaning that ghosts from beyond could visit the living and monsters could find their way into people's houses. Those celebrating it aimed to ward off as much evil as possible. They held special rites to keep monsters, witches and evil fairies at bay. They told tales about mythological heroes and the underworld. And they tried to protect themselves against evil. How? By dressing up as monsters, so they wouldn't be kidnapped or consumed by actual monsters. Halloween ritual. To ratify the festival, the Celtic priests, also known as druids, started the holiday with a bonfire to welcome the spirits back to the world of the living. During this ritual, they burned crops and animals as sacrifices to the gods. They also focused on the temporary return of their loved ones. Children would play games with the dead at their homes, and adults would hold conversations with them. But it was the dark side of the holiday that inspired many of the Halloween traditions we embrace today, as people tried to protect themselves against evil spirits in search of mischief, in addition to dressing up to disguise themselves to fool these spirits. People carried treats as bribes in case they were confronted by them, and they carried jack-o'-lanterns made out of turnips, not only to light up darkness, but also as another way to scare off those unsavory spirits. So why do we celebrate Halloween today? Halloween became commercialized over time from the influences of pop culture and is celebrated by both children and adults, whether they're going to parties or carving pumpkins. Trick-or-treating was coined by the Americans, who evolved the British tradition of souling or guising to the main event for children as we know it today. In this new whimsical context, Americans adopted the Celtic tradition of dressing up and transformed it into what we now know as trick-or-treating. By the 1930s, Halloween became almost completely secularized, while All Saints' Day became more of a religious holiday. To this day, some devout people are strictly against celebrating the holiday as anything other than a religious day. In the late 20th and early 21st centuries, Halloween has become increasingly about commercialism and profits. Americans were expected to spend $9 billion on Halloween in 2018, according to the National Retail Federation, a number that continues to increase each year. So, how is Halloween celebrated these days? You can probably answer that question yourself, with costumes, parties, toys, and candy showing up in stores earlier and earlier every year. Is Halloween good for you? Although Halloween may appear simple on the surface, a tradition where people dress up in costume and hand out candy, it is much more sophisticated. Halloween is not necessarily a holiday intended to scare with wicked masks, but rather to acknowledge and honour the life of those deceased. If you wish to take it a step further, research Day of the Dead in Mexico, a festival that makes Halloween look feeble based on how much time and energy goes to celebrating the lives of those no longer with us. Christian or not, Halloween should be first celebrated as a time to enjoy treats and dress up in costumes that you would not dare wear any other day of the year. It should also be a time for scary movies and jack-o'-lanterns if you wish to partake. However, don't forget the deep, spiritual implications of Halloween as well. And that's it on the show. Got other views about Halloween celebrations, costumes and parties? Let us hear your thoughts in the comment section below this video, and if you enjoy this video, give it a thumbs up, share and subscribe for more interesting videos. Like to connect? Follow us on Facebook, Twitter and Instagram. See you around, guys!